So of course, we should always be taking our notes because you never know when they're going to get collected, and you should have your be in the habit of doing that anyway, because eventually everybody will be coming back to school and doing it the normal way. So, unit number 7 focuses on exponents and polynomials. So we're looking at different functions outside of just lines. Let's go back to something that we did at the very beginning of the year. So at the very beginning of the year, we learned that exponents represent repeated multiplication. So for exponents, you have a base, which is the number being multiplied, and you have the exponent, which is how many times the base will be multiplied. The exponent is always attached to the base. So for example, 2 to the 4th power means that the base is 2, and the exponent is 4. So you're going to take 2 and multiply it 4 times. And that would give you your 16. Same thing applies if it's negative numbers. Negative 3 to the 5th power. Negative 3 is the base. 5 is the exponent. So that means you're going to take negative 3 and multiply it 5 times. Negative 243. So when we were just working with one problem, then it was pretty simple. Write it out, solve it out, done. But we can simplify expressions using several properties, which will make it more efficient / easier to do our work. More efficient / easier to do our work. So with that, let's go just up there. So there are 3 properties that we're going to work with. One of them is the product property. One of them is the power property. And one of them is the how of the product property. So again, for those of you as you're taking your notes, I would make sure at minimum you write down the title, the heading, and the examples. The examples are the one I'm definitely checking for. Remember, don't just take pictures of the screen and then upload it to Google Classroom and say that you did it. You will sure enough get a 0 for doing that. We take notes using our hands. You know, there's only one person here that literally has a reason not to be doing it, and I've already verified that. So that person knows who they are. You're taken care of. So let's start with the product property. You see my highlighters out for me to help you. So the product property. If you are multiplying 2 or more items with the same base, you're going to add the exponents. 2 or more things with the same base, you add the exponents. 2 or more things with the same base. So let's look at examples 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Make this a little bit bigger. Let's scroll on up. So example 1. We're being asked to simplify y to the 3rd times y to the 7th. So the base is y. The base is y. So we're multiplying 2 things with the same base. So that means you're going to keep the base and add the exponents. keep the base, add the exponents. That's simple enough. 3 plus 7 is 10. So that's y to the 10th power. That's if you have an exponent, if you have two exponents directly next to each other. So if you're multiplying these, you have y to the third, which is y times y, and y to the 7th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many y's do you have sitting up there? So if you count those out, that's 10. So you can write them out all the time, or you can use the property. So if you're multiplying two or more things with the same base, keep the base, add the exponents. Either that or you can write them out all the time, which after a while will suck. Example 2 is the same thing. You're multiplying three things with the same base. Three things with the same base. So you keep the base, and you add the three exponents. Keep the base, add three exponents. What's 3 plus 4 plus 5? That's 12. So you have p to the 12th power. So, questions 1 and 2. If you have questions, closed mouths don't get fed. Make sure you ask. Your grade is based off of your level of performance. You don't get a participation grade in this particular class. Your grade is based off of your performance. So if you don't perform at a 60% or above level, guess what? That means you're not in class. All right, property number 2. So property number 2, which we'll do with green, it's called the power property. So if an exponent is raised to another exponent, exponents raised to another exponent, you multiply the exponents. So we break out my little highlighter here. Power property. You're going to multiply the exponents. So now we're going to do two more examples. So you have m raised to the 4th raised to the 5th power. So you've got two exponents. You have two exponents. One base, two exponents. Now, you can write it out. You can write this out 5 times. This is the long way to do it. You can write it out 5 times and then add all those 4s up. Or keep the base and multiply the exponents. What's 4 times 5? 20. So you get m to the 20th power. So again, you want to write it the long way? Be my guest. Short ways, multiply the exponents. So example 4, b to the third raised to the 12th power. I'm not writing that out 12 times. I'm not writing it out 12 times because I'm going to use the property. I have one base and two exponents. Keep the base, multiply the exponents. What's 3 times 12? 6. I'm not writing that out 12 times. I know you don't have time to write that out 12 times. Use the property. Any questions on 3 or 4? Now, do keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this is you showing your work. Problems 1, 2, 3, and 4, I've been systematically showing my work. That means if I can show my work and I've been doing math for 15 years, or teaching math for 15 years, you can show your work knowing that some of you haven't been alive more than 15 years. So you can show the work just like I can do the work. So if you don't show the work, you're going to get a 0, period. Because I don't know where you got the answer from. Well, I know you could achieve it. So let's do the third property. The third property I'll do in black. Break out my little highlighter here. The power of a product property. So, 2 or more bases raised to the same exponent. You distribute the exponent and then simplify. So now you're going to distribute the exponent and then simplify. Distribute the exponent and then simplify. So example 5. So 2 or more bases raised to the same exponent. So look inside the parentheses. How many items are inside the parentheses? 2. You have a 3 and you have an x. That means everything inside the parentheses gets raised to the third power. So 3 gets raised to the third power, and x gets raised to the third power. The dot means multiplication, but we already know that's multiplication. Now we work it out. 3 to the third power is 3 times 3 times 3. What's 3 times 3 times 3? Of course, close. It's 20 something. It begins with a 2, but it's not 24. That's 27. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 3 times 3 is 9. You distribute the exponent. Whatever exponent is sitting outside, you have to distribute it. Distribute it. So 3 to the third power is 27. X to the third is x to the third. Here y'all show your work. Somebody's not going to listen. They're gonna submit just answers, and I'm gonna give them a 0, and they're gonna be in their feelings. Show your work. Don't give me the, I did it in my head. I can do it in my head too. I'm still showing my work. Unless you're saying that you're better in math than I am. And if you are, prove it. Let's do example 6. Example 6. How many things are inside parentheses? 3. That means every single one of them is getting raised to the 4th power. Every single one of them. So you're going to distribute it 3 times. Negative 2 to the 4th, A to the 4th, and B to the 4th. So now we simplify. So negative 2 to the 4th, that's negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. What number is that? Positive 16. A to the 4th, you can't do anything with, and B to the 4th, you can't do anything with. That's your final answer. Any questions, examples 5 and 6? All right. Give an extra 30 seconds for anyone who still needs to copy anything down before we move to the second page of things. Again, just a reminder, if you are struggling, you need to make sure you ask questions because closed mouths don't get fed. You learn how to play the game, you don't let the game play you. And another reminder, Unit 6 test is due 7:59 tonight. Let's flip the page. Okay, so now we're going to use more than one property. Those are basic properties by themselves. The basic properties by themselves. So if you can do the property by itself, that's good enough for D. That's basic understanding. For A, B, and C level work, you gotta know how to do a little bit more and put a little meat on the bone. So example 7. Let's kick things off with example 7. So the properties are written at the top, just in case you needed to rewrite them. Let's look at example 7. 5y to the 3rd power times 4y to the 2nd power. So it's a multiplication problem. So let me ask you something. Do you see any parentheses? No. So that means you're not going to be using power or the power product problem. So example 7 looks like you're just going to have to use this first property. You can take care of it using just that first property. But Mr. Lowe, there's a 5 and a 4 sitting in front. The multiplication problem. Take the 5 and the 4, multiply them together, and then put the variables together. Don't act scared because there's numbers in front. You can easily do that. What's 5 times 4? 20. Okay. 5 times 4 is 20. two y's being multiplied together. So what do you do with those exponents?
And
You add them. What's 3 plus 2? Ah, so you have 20y to the 5th. That wasn't that hard. Any questions before we keep going? So let's keep going. Example 8. First question. Do you have any parentheses? So we have parentheses. So now let's look inside of these parentheses. How many bases are inside the parentheses? 2. We have 2 bases inside the parentheses. 2 bases in the parentheses means this is probably going to be a distributing problem. So we're going to distribute that exponent. We're going to distribute the exponent. So the 2 is going to go to the 7. That's 7 squared. The 2 is also going to go to x to the 3rd. The 3 has to stay attached to the x. You can't move it. You cannot just move the 3. The 3 is an exponent. It stays attached to the base. Any questions before we continue? Then let's keep going. What's 7 to the 2nd power? Second power. 14? 72? 27? What's 7 to the 2nd power? 49. Thank you, Noah. 49. So it looks like Amari and Noah and a couple of the other ladies in the class are the only ones here today. So you got 1 base and 2 exponents. So what happens when you have 2 exponents next to each other? Not add them. Multiply them. You add when you have 2 of the same base. 2 or more of the same base. Here we have 2 exponents. So you multiply those. Again, I'm not mad if you don't know it fully right now or not. It is okay to make mistakes. Ain't nobody in this class perfect, including the teacher. I'm not perfect either. So make the mistake and keep it moving. What's 3 times 2? 6. So 49 x to the 6. That's it. Problem's over. Too many of you all are scared to make a mistake. Why? Who coming at you because you made a mistake? Let me know so I can come at them. Any questions before we do 9 and 10? All right, 9 and 10. So problem 9 is very similar to problem 8. Let's start in the parentheses. How many bases are inside the parentheses? Two bases. So we have 4, which is going to get raised to the second power, and x squared, which is going to get raised to the second power. Distribute the exponents. What's 4 to the second power? And what do we do with these two exponents? So this problem looks like number 8. Now this problem looks like number 7. Take the two numbers, multiply them together. What's 16 times 3? 48. X to the 4th times x to the 5th. So you have two bases being multiplied together. Keep the base, add the exponents. 4 plus 5 is 9. Yeah, it's not hard. You just have to pay attention to what you're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, you need to ask. Point blank and period. Stop being afraid of what other people are going to think about you. What they think don't matter. Who you need to be worried about is what I think. Because I'm the one that's got to give you that grade. Don't be worried about what everyone else thinks. Worry about what I think. Let's do example 10. Last example. Do you have any parentheses? No parentheses. So we don't have to worry about multiplying the exponents. We don't have to worry about distributing. All you have to worry about is adding. How many variables do you see? How many different letters do you see? 2 different letters. R's and S's. So R's are going to go with R's, and S's are going to go with S's. R's go with R's, S's go with S's. So we have 2 of the same base. So what do we do with the exponents? We add them up, and you know. You're right as well. So 2 plus 4 is 6. Do the same thing with the S's. 3 plus 2 is what? 5. R to the 6, S to the 5th. And don't you dare put those together. You cannot add those because they're not the same letter. Questions on examples 9 or 10?